Welcome to the SmartOar Quick Video Guide series. Today, we're going to take a quick look at SmartOars, what they are, and what they can do for your coaching. SmartOar is attached to your choice of oars. This is great because you get to choose the specs, the length, the stiffness, the oar shape that are best for your crew. They may be oars you already have in the boathouse, or you can have your new oars shipped directly to SmartOar. In either case, an oar pod and a strain gauge are installed and calibrated for you, specific to each oar, so that if there are any differences in manufacturing, or just to adjust for the specs that you have, you know that your results are going to be accurate and reliable. SmartOars can then be used in real time, on the water or in moving water tanks, and can be recorded for later analysis. This lets them use them in the coaching style that works best for you and your team, whether it's from the launch or later when you're working with athletes off the water. SmartOars communicate wirelessly to provide data on an entire boat in one place. This means you can coach the individual, but you can also coach the boat. So you've got two levels of work that you can do, all with one set of oars. SmartOar has a strain gauge mounted on the oar shaft, and that measures the deflection of the oar. And based on the calibration profile installed by SmartOar, that gives you a force curve for every stroke, and it can be recorded for every single stroke of a practice for every single oar in a boat, giving you an unprecedented amount of data. That helps during and after practice. You can get a force curve in real time and after the fact. You can then derive an impulse for each stroke and an average impulse over time. You can give yourselves and your athletes a graphical representation of the course of a piece, and then you can provide movies or still photos of curves and impulse for distribution at a later time. Number one, you get these force curves in real time and after the fact, whether it's on a tablet in your coaching launch or later on a PC in your office or at another place. You can take a look at each force curve. And there's 50 plus years of research using this way of graphically representing the force of an oar. Most rowers are familiar with it from working on an ergometer that provides a similar screen. And you can see here that we've got 4 rowers, and each one has her own oar, and you can look at them as a boat and as individuals. You can go through every single stroke in the practice, and you can play it back either in fast or in normal speed, and this gives everybody a chance to visualize what's going on. From the area under that curve, you can derive an impulse for each stroke and an average impulse over time. So here we're looking at the analysis page where we see every stroke taken by every oar over the course of that practice. And the software program has already gone to the trouble of creating for us both an average or mean score for each rower and then a standard deviation for each. And that's an incredibly rich set of information because our rowers are used to being measured every stroke they take on the erg. This is another great opportunity so that we can see that our rowers in 2 and 3 seat using the 6 and 7 oar had an identical mean, but they did have different standard deviation. And the next step is great because we can really look at a graphical representation of the course of the piece. Here you see the rower in yellow or gold has a very steady piece, and the rower in purple has a much more variable piece that's reflected in their standard deviation. But graphically, it's very easy to see that when the racing in this particular setup got hot and heavy, the response of one rower was to pull harder but also be less consistent. The other one stayed the course. It's up to you how you interpret these, but it's a great way for everyone to visualize what's going on during the course of the piece. Because this information is so rich, you may not have enough time with your athletes at the boathouse to go over it. So the great thing about the program is that you can make a video with a click of a button and then send that video out to the team that shows every stroke that they took over the course of the practice. You can also tailor that to an individual rower or create a still photo of one stroke and send that out. But this is a great way to share that data with whomever you like, your athletes, other coaches, administrators, or anyone who should be keeping track of how the curve progress is going. And this is something we'll get into much deeper in later videos. So to recap, the force curves in real time and after the fact is the primary benefit of the oar, but then we derive that secondary benefit from the impulse for each stroke, really letting us put numbers for the first time on the strokes that we take on the water. You can work out a graphical representation of the course of an entire piece, and then you can distribute movies or still photos of the curves to the rest of the team. I hope you like this, and I hope you'll stay tuned for more in-depth looks at what SmartOars can do for you. This has been a basic introduction. For more information, visit our website at www.smartoar.com. Thanks, and come back soon.